And well, first of all, I want to ask, has anybody soloed? Any new pilots? Anybody gotten certificates, gotten typed or anything like that? Uh, where have I been? Okay, I wanted to say something also. Mike retired. And when Mike retired, uh, I really got busy because right now there's a shortage of pilots. And we were using contract guys, which means I was looking all the time because we had the Sovereign. I don't know if you realize I got typed in the Sovereign, and we were trying to crew the Sovereign and the Excel and the Caravan. So that meant, other than me, I needed to find four other pilots. And a lot of times when you're getting a contract guy that's got a full-time job, if his job calls the day before and says, "Hey man, we got a trip, you got to go," uh, he'll bail on you. So you're, really in a bind at the last minute, trying to find people. We had a couple of trips where I have a list of about 25 people, went through two crewing services who did not have any people available who were also calling, and then another guy who had a list of 30 people. Not a one of them was available to fly. They all had to fly, or could not do anything for one reason or another. Had to cancel that trip. I apologize if you notice I'm looking over here. I'm trying to catch the comments as they come through here. William, good to have you from North Carolina. And Boston, Lewis, good to have you here. Wow, okay. Yeah, the last video I think I put up was it March? And like I said, what happened was I just got so busy I couldn't do anything trying to fly all three of those airplanes. The Sovereign that we had gotten, we ended up getting two Sovereigns, and we had both of them till I think about February. And then in February, one of them went out on a long-term lease because that's what they were bought for. The other one did not leave for quite a while. We had it till November, I believe, and then it went out on a multi-year lease. So that kind of slowed it down a little bit there. But then we got a Challenger 300. So the Challenger 300, it leaves for the paint shop Monday. It's going to get new paint. It'll have paint similar to what we have on 9 Uniform. And its call sign will be 2 Uniform. Now, theoretically, we're going to keep that one and keep flying it. But a lot of times he will say, "I'm going to keep it. That's it, my last airplane." And then 6 months later, it's gone on a lease or something like that. But yeah, and right now, even though I am set up to get typed in it, the training centers are way behind. They got hit by COVID and they are very short-staffed. Training openings sometimes for some airplanes are running like 6 months into the future. Excuse me. You can't get in. So I've got actually the initial class that I was trying to schedule was going to be in June. I got a upgrade class that will be in March. So I'd rather do the initial instead of the upgrade, but the other was 6 months out, which is really a long time to wait for that. That means just using contract guys up till June. So, but what happened was with the COVID in these training centers, there are a lot of retired airline guys that are instructing there, and retired corporate guys. Some of them in their 80s. And with what was happening, a lot of them just decided it was time to retire. And that's what they were. Oops, excuse me. I was going to move this a little bit. And that's what they were going to do. And they did retire. And with the crunch, with the airlines also, the pilots, people were retiring early. And of course, with the upper end of it being older pilots all getting out, the airlines were going crazy hiring people up. So there weren't nearly as many people that would be filling those jobs with the training centers. In fact, Mike was telling me, his son is with Delta, that they can't even fill all of their new hire classes. So there is a big crunch. Well, let's see what's over here because I'm just rambling on here. It's a Challenger 300. Yeah, that's what it is, Matthew. And they are great airplanes. The Challenger 300, it is really kind of just a computerized airplane. Lots of computerized stuff. It's the ProLine Advanced 21. That's what's in the airplane. Uh, Very, very nice interior. I'll make some videos of it. Once we get the airplane back and actually start flying it on a regular basis, I'll do that. It took when we first got it, it took a couple of trips with some contract guys, but that is all it has done. Let's see. Flying for 42 years. Oh, that is great. Yeah. Oh, you got your ATP this year. Congratulations. Flying a Conquest. Yeah, I've got about 7 hours in the right seat of a Conquest, way back with another 135 operator. And that was actually just on a part-time basis. I was filling in with them. Let's see. I'm fine, Sheldon. Good to have you here. Joe Blogs, good to have you here. Yeah, I apologize. I guess part of what happened was since I wasn't able to make the videos, I really kind of convinced myself, well, if I'm not making videos, what's the point of going on? And I just kind of dropped out of YouTube and social media and all that. And actually, it was my wife. She pretty much, beat me up and said, you need to get started again. You're just like not doing it. And so I did. The very next day, I got on there and put something up and started working on a video I'd been working on. Of course, I'm on TikTok and I'm on an Instagram and I've got a Facebook page for the Captain Moonbeam stuff. And so I've been putting a little bit of stuff there, and I really started back up with that and then moved back to this. And so just now doing the live stream was another restart because I had been thinking quite a bit about maybe doing a scheduled live stream once a week or once every 2 weeks, something like that. But in order to do that, I need to kind of get over some of my inadequacies with the live stream. That is just my basic knowledge of how it works and the software and all of that, because I really was just stumbling through it. But I'm going to get that under control, get that done. Soloed in 1972. Man, I hate to hear you can't pass the solo now. Yeah, that really sucks. It's it really happens to all of us. In the end, it does. That's true. Yeah. No, not more than well. You might be right about that. At some point, their ratings are dropping. Man, it's unbelievable. So I had made a little list of things to talk about, and unless you guys think of something, I'll bring one of the subjects up because I mentioned using contract pilots, and I don't think there are many people at all that ever talk about contract pilots, what that is. I actually worked for 6 years as a contract pilot, self-employed, just doing jobs, being paid by the day, and it paid very well, surprisingly well. And I had ended up with a company where I was doing day work for them also, and once a year, actually each year, because I would go with the owner of the company who was a pilot also to flight safety. He preferred to go with somebody he knew and was familiar with. I was getting 3 recurrents a year that were paid for by them, and I would work for them and I would give them a discount doing that. And actually eventually ended up on a retainer. All I had to do was just commit to putting them as a priority, but still doing all the other stuff. And the way the contract industry works is the airplanes will pay by the day. I mean, it's not by the hour type thing or anything like that. It is the pilot sets his own fee, and it generally tends to be approximately, I would say, his day rate is 1% of what the average pilot would make per year on that airplane. So if the pilot made 100,000 a year as average on that airplane, the day rate would be approximately $1,000 a day, and that's all expenses paid. It's meals, hotel, transportation, whatever it costs to get you there. If you're driving, you get reimbursed for mileage. Airlines, they pay for the tickets. Most of the time, you would be putting the airlines and stuff like that on your credit card. And when you do an invoice to send to them for your day rate, you would also include all those expenses and being reimbursed. I have never, ever, when I was doing that, and I still do some now also, not been reimbursed for expenses or even been questioned about it. Some of the oddities about it are some of the days are very long. You definitely earn that money. And some of the days are very short. The short ones are the oddest ones in a sense because just within the past couple of, actually, I did a very short one yesterday. And about a month ago, or maybe 6 weeks ago, it was for a sovereign. I got a call. I had just landed in the Caravan. Guy called and said, we need somebody as soon as you can get over here. We've got an international trip. I think it was to Europe the next morning. They needed to get a test flight. The guy that normally would have done it was on another trip somewhere. They had a problem. They had it worked on, but they needed to do a test flight. And I had just shut down the Caravan. I said, I'm at the airport right now. He says, man, that's great. Just if you can get over there and do it, we'll just pay your day rate, whatever, for a short flight. The other pilot's already there. You're just going up, doing the pattern to make sure what they did works. Because if it doesn't, they're canceling this really big trip. And they do not want to cancel it at the last moment the next day. So I went over there, ended up being basically 2 times in the pattern, maybe 10 minutes. And I got a full day rate for that airplane. And that airplane was definitely not, that was a Sovereign is what it was. And this is an exception. I do not normally make money like this. But it was $1,250 for that flight. That's what it was. So that's the other extreme. Normally, though, it does not work like that at all. That just happened to be, under those circumstances, what they needed to do. And I actually didn't even do that to them. They were the ones that said right up front, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to give you. Just get there, which I did. So let's see what else we got here. Steve, I appreciate that, the social media skills. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't feel like my social media skills are great at all. I feel like they're really inadequate. I feel like I would need to take a photography course because I always feel like my pictures I'm putting up on Instagram and other places are just, especially my thumbnails. I feel like thumbnails, I am awful at thumbnails. I feel like I should take like a college course on that by itself. I would like to take a photography course though and get better with that. And I feel like there are so many things that I could do that would improve what I'm putting up for everybody, what I'm sharing. And I was just talking about this with a friend of mine on the phone today because he put up his first video today and wanted me to look at it. I know so many other YouTubers, they look a lot more professional. They're using more expensive gear, mounts, stabilizers, stuff like that. Unfortunately, with what I'm showing you, which is actually what I'm doing in a day, and some of those are very busy days, it ends up being really more of a run and gun type thing, where I can't run around with a phone or a GoPro or a camera on a stabilizer, get the perfect shot, set it up and all that. I'm pulling out the closest thing I have, which is my phone. And a lot of times, I would say in making the videos, at least a third of the stuff that I do with the phones, either I'm doing it so fast that when I push the button to record, it didn't, or it's too shaky, or it's too bad, or something like that, and I either didn't get it or I throw it out in the end. But that's just the nature of what I'm doing. You know, moving around real fast, lots of uh, repositioning, getting the airplane ready, running in, and like what I did yesterday, it was a flight yesterday evening, and we literally just flew from Jefferson City to St. Louis, dropped a couple of people off, grabbed a couple of people, and right back. I mean, we were not on the ground there 10 minutes max. And that was actually an Excel. I was in the right seat. But a lot of stuff is like that. And you just have to go with what you have, you know, what you can use. Oh, from Parks, man. Luke, thanks. Good to have you here. Yeah, I worked out of Parks for, gosh, that was probably 8 years over there. Out of and then it used to be, or actually even before that, it had like three names. It was like Parks by State, Cahokia, East St. Louis, you know, all that. And I've probably told this story before. Uh, my first charter trip actually was from Little Rock to the Bi State Parks Airport over there. That's just for you people that aren't familiar. That's just across the river. And I think I've discussed that on another live stream. It was a very interesting trip. Let's see what we got here. Any advice for a newly rated commercial pilot working on CFI, CFII certificate? Definitely get that instructor's rating, because it is so valuable in so many ways. It will help you build time to get another job. But also, in order to teach it, you really have to know it. So it definitely expands your knowledge base and reinforces it. And I think it definitely made me a better pilot in the long run. And yeah, definitely. Let's see. Oh, also, if you haven't already started doing this, and I tell everybody this, uh, start networking, making friends at airports, because that's the way a lot of people find out about pilot jobs coming open. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. How do I like the Sovereign? Now, that's an interesting question. Craig says, how do you like the Sovereign compared to the Excel? I liked the Sovereign. And now I was totally unfamiliar with the FMS in that airplane. I had not used that FMS before, and that was the Honeywell. And that was the biggest hurdle for me, is getting that FMS down, because I had been using the Universal almost exclusively, and then the Garmin throughout my career. And the logic is so different between them. Once you get the logic down of how they order everything and the flow of it, it's so much easier to do. But that's also a lot to take in the time that you have while you're there doing the airplane stuff and the simulator and the classroom and all that. And obviously I did. But I think the Sovereign's a great plane. I really enjoyed flying it. My only complaint about the Sovereign is, and I found this a bit odd, and I think it's the wing. Going through turbulence, it did not ride as well as a lot of other planes. It tended to be really stiff in the turbulence, so it made it a little bit more bumpy. That was a surprise, but you get used to it. Other than that, it's almost like a beefed up Excel. I noticed a lot of similarities between the two airplanes. I would have liked to have kept the Sovereign, because I definitely am a fan of it now. But I'm sure I'll be a fan of the Challenger 300 here too. Okay, let's see. Yes, I had a good Christmas, Alan, and I hope everybody else had a good Christmas. Gosh, with the weather, I hope everybody's getting through the weather and the COVID. Oh, here's somebody flying the Caravan next month. Man, Squawk VFR, I really enjoy the Caravan. I think the Caravan is a lot of fun. Uh, can you film a startup and full takeoff in a video? You know, there is a problem with me doing that. So I don't do startups. The reason for that is once you get above a certain weight uh, with the aircraft and the classification, so we're flying a turbojet that's with the Excel, it's a 20,000 pound fully loaded turbojet. Uh, if you are instructing somebody for the purposes of uh, learning to fly that airplane, basically getting a type rating or something like that, you've got to do a background check on them. Uh, and I don't see that's where it starts to get kind of fuzzy. I think you'd probably be okay, but then there's the possibility that somebody may use that for nefarious purposes and uh, something unpleasant happen. So because of that, I don't actually show how to start the aircraft. I'll talk about different things, and I can understand why you would want to do that. Uh, that was just my decision with that. I may be totally wrong about it also. Well, thanks, Billy Ray. I appreciate it, man. That's definitely that'll take care of my coffee at Starbucks. Definitely will do that. Yeah. So Bardstown, Kentucky. Oh, we did a trip there, and it was unfortunately not a trip that I was able to make. I started making a video, and it just sometimes it doesn't work out. We're too busy, too much going on. Uh, Sometimes it messes up the camera. Excuse me. I'll press the record button, accidentally press it twice, and then it turns out it didn't record it, or have an audio problem. And in fact, right now I'm working on an audio problem. I think I'm going to have to replace the cable that I've been using with the GoPros, and it is picking up interference and stuff like that, static and tones and different things. Uh, so I'm going to buy another cable, try and see if that takes care of the problem. I bought a GoPro 9, which I think is going to work really well. One of the things that happens, and I don't think I can really show you, well, maybe I can. I've got some cameras. No, but the audio uh, cable for the GoPro plugs into the side. And when you mount it, it actually puts a substantial amount of weight and I guess the twisting action on that little plug where it plugs in. And I'm finding that after a while, it starts to weaken that plug. It starts to wiggle, and you start picking up interference. And I've got one camera where it just totally the audio part of it recording went dead. Can't even use it. Archer pilot, air Sansone is neither. We don't do. Um, well, I guess you could kind of. Well, no, it's not technically a fractional. We don't do charter, and Air Sansone, the Air Sansone airplanes are actually owned by an individual, and like the Caravan is Air Sansone. Now, other airplanes will be owned by Air Sansone also, which is the same individual, and they are bought strictly for the purpose of going on to multi-year leases, long-term leases. In fact, when I started doing this, the XLS that I flew had just come off a 5-year lease. And when they do that, those airplanes, when they are leased, are in a sense almost as if they are owned. I mean, the person or the company that's leasing them. Oh, CA Pilot, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. They are doing the maintenance. They are the operator of the aircraft. They are doing everything. They have their own pilots. And at that point, then it just goes away from us. Uh, so the trips that you are seeing are people who are either the Air Sansone airplane owned by an individual or the Excel, and that's actually the Excel is a partnership. That's what it is, of some business people that got together and decided that it was more effective for them money wise, just to go in and buy an airplane and get some pilots. So let me see this. Um, Greg, I'm not sure I understand the question. Jim, do you have METAR? And if so, how you like it? Greg, the pilot. Okay, that must be something other than what I am accustomed, because METARs for me are meteorological reports. So I wonder if that's software or something else like that that you're referring to. I don't know. Uh, that's a good point, Ron. I need a strain relief on the GoPro because right now I've got 3 GoPros that I no longer use uh, and 4 that I am using. So, yeah, doing this, you kind of go through the GoPros. And part of it is not just that they fail, it's just that they're replaced by something that's much better for what you're actually doing. One of the problems I have, and the reason I went up to the uh, GoPro 9 is when you mount the camera, well, actually, the one that's over here that can catch the instrument panel and outside, and the one that's back here looking down that gets the instrument panel and outside at a kind of a down angle, uh, they have a problem with the light because the light coming in from the outside through the forward windshield is much brighter and the instrument panel is in shadow. So a lot of times what will happen is the outside is too bright and then the panel is too dark where you can't see anything. But I have noticed as they have improved new cameras, that is getting better and better. And I have a feeling that the GoPro 9 is going to be a big improvement. And also with the night flying, I just put some stuff up on Instagram and TikTok, and it was a video that I had made of the caravan going into Nassau at night and coming in over the ocean. The problem was that uh, it was not working with the camera. And then I had the audio problem. So what I ended up with was not really enough to make a full vlog of the flight, but just a much very smaller um, video of, it was maybe a minute long of the very fast day because I was in Nassau. I'd leave on the airlines, get over to Orlando, get to the FBO, take the airplane, fly back, get back to the hotel. It was a very busy day for me. Let me make sure this is something that I don't absolutely have to jump in here and do. Wow. Wow. Okay. Huh. That's okay. That was my wife. She is visiting her cousin in Baja right now. And, they had that tsunami warning. And she was telling me they got some waves there from it, which I did not expect. Oh, Maddie Crown, I really appreciate that. I do. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. And all, you know what? I appreciate all of you just for watching because I really do this because I enjoy sharing. I want to share aviation with other people who also are very interested in it, and those of you who just absolutely are crazy about it also, because I am. I really enjoy what I'm doing. Yeah. Um, you know what I need to do though, because while she's there, she's calling me every night. If you will give me just a moment of grace, I am just going to let her know I'm doing a live stream and can't talk. I can do that very quickly. And then there's another subject I want to talk to you about. Yeah, there we go. Good. Now she knows what I'm doing. I mentioned that I've got a friend that put up his first video today. His name is Olin, and he's been in a couple of videos with me, and we've done work together flying. He's a buddy of mine. So we had talked, and I had already been thinking about doing a regular live stream. And I asked if he was interested because he's got a lot of interesting stuff that he does also. and he is very excited about that. So we're going to work something up. I'm going to still make all the other stuff with the other stuff. This is in addition to, uh, because it's easier to do this than go to answer all the comments, because sometimes I'm slow enough where I'll be answering a lot of comments, and other times I can't. Uh, but he and another guy that I fly with, Christian, they formed a management company together. They were just recently managing and flying a CJ3, and now they lost that airplane. They have a Challenger now. I think it's a 604 and another airplane, a Learjet. So, yeah, yeah, you'll have a lot to say. Let's see. Use the in-flight cable and Archer. That's the one I was using, the in-flight cable. Uh, I don't have any problems with it. I went for years, no problems. I've been trying to narrow down. Uh, One of the things I need to figure out also, it still may not be the cable itself where I'm having the audio problem from. I'm wondering if as it's laying on the sidearm flat area, uh, maybe it's laying also on the headset cable that runs through there, and I'm wondering if maybe there's some interference with the close proximity of the headset cable. But one of the things I am finding out is the audio problem that's being picked up and recorded by the GoPro. I'm not hearing it over the headset, uh, so that makes it a little more difficult to figure out what exactly it is. Yeah, and one thing I wondered also is that cable is two pieces. One of them is the GoPro mic cable adapter, and then the other one, I guess, that they make. And I wonder if that GoPro adapter with the box on it uh, could have something to do with it. Well, unfortunately, Ted, with the GoPros, all of that is automatic. I mean, I wish there was something I could do on that. Uh, it's, yeah, yeah. I'd have to have a different camera uh, for that. Let's see. Well, thanks. I appreciate that, Tom. Appreciate that greatly. Oh, somebody from Edwardsville. You're close by. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see what else we have here. Just going to scroll down because I don't want to miss anybody that's soloed. Let me check this. Excuse me. Oh, here's the other thing. And I didn't even realize this to today. I totally missed it. This Trevor Jacob crash. I watched a couple of videos, people commenting on that and commenting on the video that he made. I don't even know what to say about that. That is just the strangest thing I have ever seen. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I can definitely see why there's a lot of suspicion. Excuse me. Let's see who else we got here. I have visual. Let's see. Excuse me. Yeah, Pro Pilot. That's kind of where I hate to say it, but that's where I'm leaning. It looks staged to me. There are just too many things, too many things. And it's almost like a lot of the things he did were planned and made for the video he was making. And one person, one comment they made is a perfect example. He said he kept lifting the nose, and they're wondering why he was doing that. And they said it looked like he was trying to make the prop stop, because if you don't fly, the prop, if there's enough airflow over it, will keep spinning. It'll look like the engine's running, but the engine is not running. It's just the airflow makes the prop spin. And if you're making a video and you're planning it, it would look so much better if that prop just came to a stop like that. That would be a dramatic moment in the video. Yeah, it was just too bizarre, too bizarre. But the FAA is investigating it, and I'm sure they'll find out what was going on. And it may take a year or something like that till it's all settled. Billy Ray, if I did not thank you, I appreciate it. I definitely do. Let's see, we've got somebody from England, Arkansas, Little Rock. Well, Little Rock is where I started my commercial pilot career. I got my did my flight training in Memphis International. We'd go over there and practice at West Memphis. Uh, Finished the private pilot at Olive Branch, Mississippi, and then went to Little Rock, and I got all my other certificates there at Central Flying Service, and started my commercial career flying out of Little Rock, doing flight instructing and charter in the King Airs there. Let's see, Bonanza, Baron, Duchess. Those are the things I was flying there, and doing pilot services also. That's where I first did pilot services. My first pilot or my contract job was the right seat of I was a flight instructor, right seat of a Hawker 800, and it paid $125 a day. And I was thrilled to do that. The money was, I wasn't making that much a day as a flight instructor. So that was absolutely fantastic. A stunt for clicks. I suspect you're right about that. Let me see. Be in the Dallas first week of March. Oh, yeah. Greg, that's a good question. Right now, there are no plans for me to go to the Heli Expo. I've been to several of them. The guy that I work for owns helicopters. That's how he started out. And he has not said anything. Sometimes he'll fly down in the Excel because he's taking a bunch of people. But if he doesn't have a bunch of people, he may do something else or team up with somebody else flying down there to save money. I don't know if I've seen that one. I've seen multiple DB Cooper videos. That's another very interesting aviation story there. And I saw the movie too that they made, which I enjoyed. Yeah, the BE-76, that was my first multi-engine, the Duchess. That was a fun airplane. I got my multi-engine rating in the Duchess and instructed in it. Yeah. That was my first, I don't know if you would call it an emergency. It never really got to the point, but I'll tell this story. So I've been doing, multi-engine instruction. And one of the things you do is you shut down the engine. He's going to have the person that you're with that's training, he's going to have to shut down an engine for a check ride and restart it. But you aren't doing shutting it down like right at V1, when the airplane takes off. You're at a safe altitude and you just shut it down, and then you go through the restart procedure. It's not a big deal. But we were out in the Stuttgart, Arkansas area, and we did that, and we went to restart it, and we could not get the engine restarted. I mean, we started and started. I mean, we tried and just could not get it restarted. So we were right there at Stuttgart, and I thought, okay, well, I mean, that's enough trying, And we said, we'll just land right here. So it was very uneventful. Go land, students flying the airplane. And what I did not realize when we landed, I definitely realize it now, and somehow I guess I just had missed it, that was when you do land with one engine and you come to a stop and you want to make a turnoff, if the dead engine is on the other side of the airplane you want to turn, there is significant resistance to it turning in that direction, because you've got all of this force from lateral force, basically from the engine out of the wing, that's trying to push you towards the dead engine, even on the ground. So that was something that I learned that day. And I cannot remember what the issue was, but it's been so long, I can't remember if we finally, I think I don't think we got it started on the ground, but that's an old story. Furthest I've ever flown to was London. I've gone there twice, Jack, and that was in a Gulfstream 2B. I used to have a job flying a Gulfstream. Let's see. When's the next time you're flying into Tuskegee? Huh. I don't know. I don't know. Um, that's Alabama. And occasionally we go there for races. Uh, so it's really dependent upon that partner in the airplane, if he's going to that NASCAR race or not. That's when we would do that. Let's see. Block out the bad memory. I wouldn't say it was a bad memory at all. It wasn't even stressful, you know. Yeah. So I remember we just sat around and talked till they came out. Yeah. Well, thanks, Flannel. I appreciate it. My favorite aircraft is the Citation jet, the Citation M2. Great airplane, love that. And I tell you what, the Caravan is starting to get to where it's competing with that because it is a fun airplane to fly. I enjoy that. Uh, and we tend to just fly it locally. Right now, it's down in Florida because when it gets cold up here, the guy that owns it moves to his house down in Florida, and I'll reposition the Caravan down there for him. And in fact, when I was talking about the TikTok Caravan thing, he was in Nassau, and I did a trip to. Well, actually, I flew him to Nassau in the Excel. We flew back, spent a day here, and then the next day we flew the other owner and his group down to Nassau, and the contract pilot was out of Little Rock. That's right, I forgot that. And he went back to Little Rock because he had to fly. And then the next day, I did the COVID test, got on the airlines, flew to Orlando, and picked up the Caravan and brought it back because when I left with my group of people from the second owner, he wanted to take the Caravan and fly it from Nassau back to his house. Uh, so sometimes I do go down and fly it while it's down there. But in the springtime, as it's the weather warms up here, I'll reposition the Caravan back up here, and he'll fly back and forth between here and the lake. Or I'll fly. A lot of times, flying the Caravan, I'm flying his family different places. I'm sorry, I'm reading as I go through this. Also, let's see. Mike's doing great. His family put pressure on him to retire because he was retired airlines and he had all these passes, and his wife and his kids and grandkids, because his son works for an airline also, they could all go places. So they really wanted him to go, and so he did retire. But he does miss it. He does miss it. We talked. Yeah, yeah. He enjoyed it. It was a great retirement job for him. He got paid by the day, and he just enjoyed doing it. And all he wanted at the end of the day was a nice hotel, a steak dinner, and a glass of wine. And he was good. So he was great to fly with. We did a lot of stuff uh, on trips other than flying. If we had a couple of days sitting somewhere, we'd go hiking, go to a museum, go do stuff. We went snowmobiling once, went to see things, lots of fun. No, Gabriella, I've never flown a Russian aircraft, and I have never flown a Warbird. I would like to. Uh, I would think that would be a lot of fun. And this does bring up one of my aviation regrets, one thing I never did, and that was I never got a tail dragger endorsement. Uh, for the Warbirds, for many of them, you would have to have that also, and never did. So maybe one day I'll do that. Yes, Jack, Walmart does have an aviation fleet, and they are based out of the airport there at. No, it's not the airport. Well, it was. Huh. Trying to think of which there were two. There's one airport closer to the Walmart headquarters. There was another airport though where they had their flight department. It's Since I've been into that airport, it's probably been 6 years, so I don't know if they're still there or not. They're at Rogers, Arkansas, is where I'm talking about. Well, that's what he was doing. Mike was actually a contract pilot, and he did that on that airplane for 5 years. They paid for his training and all that. Yeah, I love flying with Mike. Mike's a great guy. Mayhem pilot. Okay, that's an interesting question. He's asking about if we do circle to land approaches because that's the riskier approach. And a circle to land, uh, if you're doing an ILS, it's depending upon if you're category 1, 2, or 3, you're probably coming down and the decision height is 200 feet above the runway. With the circle to land, you don't have a glide slope. You're probably coming in on a VOR or any type of approach, but you have a minimum altitude to circle around the airport once you see it. Uh, and it varies in altitude depending upon the approach. And so once you get the airport in sight, you break off because it takes you to a different runway from what the approach has got you lined up for. Or it may be an approach that has no runway, particular runway that it's aligned with. But you see it, and then you circle at that altitude. If you lose sight of the runway at any point, you've got to go missed. And I'm trying to think. They vary in altitude. Some of them are pretty low for the circle, and especially at night. I don't like the idea of doing a circling approach at night because if you're right at minimums for that, and the cloud layer is fairly low to the minimums, it is very easy to get back in the clouds and lose sight of the runway. Especially, you're turning, trying to keep it in sight. It's dark. It's just not a good. My personal feeling is it's not a good position to be in. There have been a number of accidents uh, that people who doing circling approaches, uh, they had fatal accidents. So the one that really surprised me was the Gulfstream going into Aspen. This was about, I'm thinking, 10 years ago, and they were coming out of the Burbank Airport. They had been pressured. Everything was running behind, and they were pressured into going in there. And I would never go in there at night, not into Aspen or Eagle. I mean, I tell the passengers, we depart in daylight, we land at daylight. If you show up and it's dark, we're not leaving. Uh, so they did a circling approach and flew right into a granite wall, is what happened. And I think they actually had at one point, the airport, in, actually, they may have had that runway inside as they circled all the way around the whole time, but then just got too low. That's what they did. So very unfortunate. Yes, Joshua. Okay. Teterboro 6 circled to 1 is awful. And there was another fatal accident on that one also, and that was that Learjet. Uh, and there were some other things going on with that. Uh, but basically, you've got the approach to runway 6. And because of the other airports around you, the airspace and all that, uh, they didn't want you to come straight into runway 1. They would want you to come in towards runway 6 on the approach. They would clear you for it, and then you would get the circle to land runway 1. So now you're down low, you've got the runway, and you start circling to 1. It was a very windy day. There was a strong wind, and it was very gusty. And they were too fast, and they were being blown, and they kept banking it steeper and steeper to correct and to line up that runway. And literally, they stalled. Boom. And I'm sure it's still there on YouTube. There are videos. Uh, the impact was actually caught by a surveillance camera, and literally, you have video that will show you just the moment the nose of the airplane uh, touches the ground of the attitude of the airplane. Very sad accident. Let's see. Wow, following from Honduras. A-Chain, thanks. I appreciate that. That's a long way. There's Larry from Iowa. Let's see what we got here. Mike C. Flyer. Now, Mike C. Flyer, what? The San Diego crash. I'm not sure which one you're talking about with that. Let's see. Oh, man, Gabriella, the Airbus 350 single pilot they're talking about. This has been going on they have been pushing for this for a long time. I remember reading articles about the FAA approving research. Well, I mean, they were in talks about doing the single pilot thing. I'm not sure how far they were approved in developing all this and stuff like that. But they're trying to use this, of course, to save money, reduce the flight deck to one pilot. I just think this is a bad idea. I've got three single pilot type ratings. I've got a single pilot CJ type. I've got a King Air 350 type or King Air 300. And I'm typed in the, what was the other one? The other jet, the Mustang that Cessna came out with. Even though I have those types and I have a lot of turboprop and turbojet single pilot type, I am not a fan of single pilot in aircraft like that because nothing beats two sets of eyes and two sets of ears, especially when you have all sorts of things going on. Busy airspace, weather issues, mechanical issues at the same time. It's very easy to get overloaded with all of those things happening. And I can do it. I do it. I've done it. But like I said, I'm just not a fan. Now, as far as other types of flying, no problem doing it. Going out in the Caravan single pilot, no problem. But that's different. That is totally different. And so what they're doing is, I keep looking over here to move around from the camera. I shouldn't do that. They're trying to save money and they're pushing the single pilot thing. And I did not realize it had gone that far. Let's see. Hold on just a moment. All right, I'm running out of time here. I got an hour. Let's see. Hello from Teterboro, neck of the woods. Okay, Teterboro. Man, I used to go into Teterboro once a week, sometimes twice a week. That is one busy airport. And I don't know how many times going into Teterboro, we would be stuck on the taxiway for hours because of weather out to the west, moving in and just waiting. I remember flying one of the governors from Missouri. This was years ago. We did a flight out there, and it was at least 3 hours sitting on that taxiway, and he finally just laid straight out on the floor so he could really stretch out and relax, and took a nap. Let's see. How about a yoke from Turtle Beach for myself? Oh yeah, Brickyard. Yeah, that is fun. Those simulation programs you can get for your computers now at home. Oh man, they are so sophisticated. They are nothing like. I mean, my first one I used to do Flight Simulator on the Commodore 64. That was my first simulator, and it has gone. It's like unbelievable where it's gone now. It really is. I mean, you could get all your the instrument basics down with that. They're fantastic. All right, I got to finish up here. I'm just trying to look at some of these comments real fast before I run. Make sure I didn't miss anything we really got to cover real fast. What's the latest? Still going strong? Yeah, Matt, I'm back to making videos. I'm working on one. I got some camera problems I'm trying to work out, audio problems for some new ones. I've got another one that I'm working on for a much earlier trip I did. So I'll do that and get that up. And then eventually, when I get this taken care of, then I'll have more recent stuff. But I'm like I've told people earlier, I'm also putting stuff up on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. I've got a fan page on Facebook for people that are into Facebook. Uh, yeah, lots of fun, lots of fun. Okay, you guys be safe out there with this weather and everything going on and the COVID and all that. You know, I hope that I think everybody in the end gets it. So I hope that it is not a devastating event for you when that happens, you or your family. And you guys that are flying, be safe out there. Watch out for each other. And I got to figure out how do I end the book. There we go. So long. I thought it was so long. Adios.